Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors, your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. I'm glad you're here this Tuesday morning. Got a great show lined up. We started our weather brought to us by Haney Technical Center. The two big things about the weather, folks, we're going to hit 80 degrees today. And the drum roll, please, because the water temperature is now 66 degrees. And we told you it would shoot up. It stayed level for 63 for so long. 66 degrees. You can tell by the catches that we had over the weekend and yesterday. What you can tell it's 66 degrees. So low tonight will be highs 81 and low 63. So this is springtime weather right here in the Florida Panhandle. River readings. Take a look at our river readings. The Apalachicola, it still wants to stay up there around in double digits. It's at 11.1. this morning, and it's going to drop just a little bit, but it's not going to be a lot of drop to it. The Choctahatchee at Caryville, it is moving a little bit, 6.9, and it's going to level down below a little bit around 6 foot next couple of days. The river's in good shape. Not going to be a lot of movement next couple of days on a river system, okay? Now let's take a look at our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn Funeral Home, okay? Our tides will be the high tide at 9:21 this morning. It's going to be falling out all day, and we have low tide tonight at 6:04. All right, so that takes care of it. We have two good sponsors there, Kent Forest Lawn and Haney Technical Center, bringing this segment to us for Panhandle Outdoors. We appreciate their sponsorship and their interest in outdoors. Both these organizations are really good outdoorsmen themselves. So let's the marine forecast, look at it. The marine forecast is going to be coming out of southeast again at 10 and 20. We still have this wind. The wind hasn't stopped blowing, I don't think, in 6 weeks. I know this past Saturday was a beautiful Saturday morning, but and Sunday morning was pretty, but it's really been a blowing month and a half. All right, so southeast at 10 to 20. All right, now, let's also, I want to go ahead and mention our blue water tent sale. I'm going to talk about that all week. We're going to have one of those guys coming. Brent's going to be coming up here Thursday and talking about a blue water tent sale, but it's going to be happening this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and it's going to be all kind of bargains. You don't want to miss it, so we're going to talk about it, and hopefully when Brent comes, he may bring some stuff up here to give away, so make sure you get your name in the pickle jar. All right, let's go and take our break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, and welcome Lieutenant Stan Kirkland.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Winston.
Always glad to have Stan on because he always brings so much stuff. We could do an hour-long show, but we only got 30 minutes. So, Stan, let's get started.
All right. Well, first of all, spring turkey season is still rocking along. You couldn't prove it by the number of birds that I've killed, but I've had fun. And I fed some mosquitoes in the process, but thank the Lord for thermocells. So you need them as a sponsor. That's a great product, I'm telling you. I know Ronnie talks about them on here, but boy, a lot of people are hearing, some places are hearing lots of birds, other places are not hearing many birds. But anyway, so I've had hens all around, and Saturday had a gobbler up within about 70 yards, but couldn't get him to come any closer. Mm-hmm. So he lived to fight another day. But we do have a photo. This is a fine bird that Dennis Palmer, one of our officers, killed on Saturday. Dennis killed this bird on private property in Washington County. One thing
where's the tail feather?
Well, I think he had shook his tail feathers once too often. I'm not sure, but this bird it's a big gobbler, 19 and a half pounds, had almost an 11-inch beard. It was huge beard, but the bird only had 7 tail feathers. Dennis didn't shoot him out. He had no hair follicles for the other feathers. So I think normally they have 17 or 18 feathers in the typical fan, I believe, and this one only had 7 feathers. So I don't know if it was a mercy killing on Dennis's part or what, but anyway, so big fine bird.
That was a good-looking bird, though.
Yeah, Dennis has already killed 2 birds. He's quite a good turkey hunter. So, but anyway, only one accident so far. We've had one turkey hunter over in the National Forest that was injured or shot by another turkey hunter. Wasn't fatal. It was something that shouldn't happen. But anyway, so it's been a relatively safe season so far.
Good deal.
Relatively safe season.
And the weather's been, been cooperating really. It's been.
Yeah, we've only had a few days where it's really been, kind of tough conditions. But hunters have had the one thing, it's been cool, so the mosquitoes haven't been as bad. Those years where it's warm from early to mid-February on, it's a lot. Makes it a lot tougher, but that little thermocell's a neat invention.
All right. Gobbler season. All
right, Winston, I wanted to mention, and I'm going to jump back and forth to saltwater, back to freshwater, and some wildlife stuff. I'll just mix it all in this morning. But let me mention about red snapper. I know you and I talked recently about this. And you've talked about this, Winston, but recently the commission, I'm talking about FWC, tentatively now adopted a 44-day red snapper season. Of course, that's for state waters. When under the federal proposal, it was only they wanted to allow Florida only to have basically a 28-day season. Since Florida did not go consistent, and that's the terminology the feds use, both Florida, Louisiana, and Texas are not going consistent, or at least tentatively, it doesn't appear to be going consistent. Then the feds, NOAA has even come back with even a reduced season now of 21 days. So for federal waters, I don't know how this is going to be resolved. I sat in on a phone call the other day and listened, and it's just clear that the states and National Marine Fisheries Service and NOAA, we're miles apart. And so our commissioners will be meeting here in a couple of weeks. They'll be more or less, this will not be a final vote, but they will be meeting to basically put their stamp on how the season is, or what kind of season we're going to have. And so, Winston, we'll see what happens at that meeting.
Well, that's tough. I'll tell you what, I don't know, it's like they're punishing us for doing what we think is the right thing.
Well, I think there's a lot of frustration, and I know our commissioners expressed it at the last time they discussed it, that they're just frustrated that as these fish get larger, the number of days are being cut back, and it just doesn't, there's just not a consensus that this is a way to manage the fishery, so we'll see what happens at this next meeting.
It's just wrong. I mean, if all of us go out there and all of us do, we all come back with the same story. It is red snapper all over the place.
Right.
And if we didn't catch a lot of red snapper, we could understand this, but they're just all over the place. So,
well,
anyway, our commissioners are standing up for that. We appreciate that. It's the federal guys that really, I don't know if those guys fish or if they just sit behind a desk and add numbers and all, but it's really amazing, and it's very frustrating to the recreational guys. It really is. Yeah,
there's enough frustration to go around in this one. I promise you, Winston, and we'll see what happens, and I'll let you know as soon as I hear something at the next commission meeting, okay?
All right, let's take this break, and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. Sitting here with Lieutenant Stan Kirkland at FWC with all kind of good information. You were telling about some tarpon stuff. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go tarpon fishing now in about a month. So
all right.
Excited.
Take your camera with you, Winston. We
right.
want to hear a good story. All right.
All right.
All right. Yeah, Winston. The Florida Guides Association recently recognized tarpon fishermen, particularly the top anglers, for turning in the tarpon samples, basically scales. The reason I bring this up is we don't catch as many tarpon, we don't have as many tarpon fishermen up in the Panhandle, but we do have a tarpon fishery. A lot of people don't know that, but they fish for them from Crooked Island down to Mexico Beach area, Apalachicola, Panacea, right on down the coast. There's some places that people have learned to target and catch tarpon. If you do that, well, let me say this first. The top tarpon angler turned in almost 1,000 samples by himself. He turned in 975 samples, and now some of this may have been people he was taking out, but when you figure up the number of days in a year,
That's almost 3 a day.
That's
you got to count in bad weather.
And that's
right.
Take
a day off.
That's right.
So he's probably hitting 5 a day. That's
and
amazing.
I'm sure people are actually giving him their samples maybe to turn in. I'm not sure, but that's amazing though that one angler turned in that many. The next one was 216. That came from a guy in Ellenton, Florida, and then a guy in the Keys had 118. But in 2012. About 4,700 samples, over 16,000 tarpon samples, and folks, when we talk about tarpon samples, each scale of a tarpon is like your fingerprint. Every tarpon is different, so that's why they know these are individual fish. Some of these fish they've been able to track, and they know from the samples that these fish will travel sometimes from the east coast to the west coast of Florida. Sometimes they'll make some pretty wide swaths through the Gulf of Mexico to some of the Caribbean island countries, but it's just amazing.
We went to a workshop last year down in Appalachia.
Right.
Kathy Gwendon was talking.
Right.
She was able to track them and all. And
That's
show
right.
us the proof. It's fascinating.
Yep.
How they move around, and she was saying, fishermen up here in Panhandle, we send in fewer samples, so we're going to have to get on the ball and pick up the slack there and start sending them samples.
And one of the interesting things was last year they were talking about one fish that had, they were monitoring this fish using satellite telemetry equipment, and all of a sudden this fish goes around from the Gulf into the Atlantic. I don't know if you remember the one I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
And all of a sudden starts across the Atlantic. And what they surmised was that this particular fish had been eaten by a large shark, and this was the normal migratory path of this. Yeah. And I forget what species of shark it was, Winston, but anyway, it was.
That's the story. That's scientific evidence to pretty well prove that.
That's exactly right. So if you'll contact our agency, we can. If you'll give us a call, we can tell you how to get these tarpon kits. If you're an angler, if you don't ever intend to fish for tarpon, then of course this doesn't apply to you. But if you're a tarpon angler, keep 2 or 3 of these little kits on your boat and for pulling a scale, and then send them in to us.
And ironically, the tarpon fishery is one of the oldest fisheries in our state. It goes back to the 1800s. I've got a book that talks about guys coming from these rich guys coming from England down here to Boca Grande and all, and fishing in the 1880s and 1890s. Catching tarpon.
Right.
They didn't care anything about anything else, but they wanted to catch a tarpon. It's
an old
fishery.
Yep. And in fact, is it your book that you've got some pictures of tarpon? You've got some pictures of tarpon in your book.
Right here locally, out of Lynn Haven Hotel. We had a guide. They were coming in from Birmingham and Montgomery and all Alabama, Georgia, and they were coming here just to catch tarpon. And we have some 6-foot tarpon. It was a huge fishery here, especially before the dam was built in 1962. So great tarpon fishing right here in Panhandle.
And in fact, there's a discussion right now, this is a sidelight to what we're talking about, but there's a discussion by the commission, by FWC right now, about doing away, and it's only a discussion, but it's about doing away with the kill permit for tarpon. Right now, you can buy a $50 kill permit if you want to keep a tarpon. You can't eat them, they're not good to eat. So to me, it's kind of a no-brainer that this would be good for the resource, but anyway, so we'll see where that discussion goes.
All you got to do, take a picture and measure, and then
take a picture, measure. A lot of people get out of the boat. They'll literally walk them in the surf and rejuvenate the fish, make sure that they're good to go before they release them.
But speaking of, let's go to another big fish now. We're talking about tarpon, and that is one kind of fighting fish, but you got a picture of a bass that you brought.
Winston, this bass was caught a couple of weeks ago by Jeffrey Noltz, N-U-L-T-S. Jeffrey's one of our fisheries technicians. Now, this bass was not caught on a rod and reel, was actually electroshocked and then measured, weighed, and released in the Ochlockonee River. This is just below the, I think I can say this, people will recognize it. It's just below the Highway 90 bridge over on the Ochlockonee River. That fish weighed 14.88 pounds, almost a 15-pound female. She was getting ready to spawn at the time.
Okay,
and,
you're saying the Highway 90 bridge.
Right.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Highway 20.
I said Highway 90. Highway 20 bridge.
Okay.
Thanks for correcting me.
Okay.
That's the Highway 20 bridge there on the Okalotny River.
Okay.
And she is a fish that was raised at our Blackwater hatchery to where she was 7 or 8 inches in size, and then she was in a batch of several thousand bass that were released in Lake Talquin, and those fish eventually came through. And the reason we know that is that fish has a microscopic wire tag in her front cheek, and they can take a wand, and when they go over that fish, they know that microscopic tag, or they can see that microscopic tag, and they even know the number. They know the when that fish was released.
Well, that leads us into the next part of the Florida Trophy Catch. It's something the FWC is putting on now, and if you catch a fish like that, that's going to be a nice one to enter into the. And it's free if you just register trophycatchflorida.com, and you get all that. But you catch one like that now, that would be a fine one to put in to take a picture of.
That's exactly right. Any fish 8 pounds and larger is considered a trophy. We have the Trophy Club, the Lunker Club, and then of course that's for fish up to 12.9 pounds. Anything over 13 pounds, and like this fish, you need to contact our agent, keep that fish alive. Contact our agency. We'll get somebody to meet you.
Well, that would be a Hall of Famer right there.
Yes, sir.
13 pounds of bear.
Yes, and not only that, you get entered. If you contact our agency, we're able to measure that fish real quickly, weigh it, photograph you with it, release that fish. Then you're entered into a drawing for over $1,000 in prizes, and then some lucky person is going to also get a boat and motor, because this is an effort to. We've got a number of sponsors. It's an effort, though, to preserve these big fish, let them fight again another day.
Yeah, great idea. Great idea. All right, let's take our final break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's first take a look at our fishing times for today. Our outdoor times brought to us by Mark Coward of Edgewater Beach Realty. Anywhere from Carabel to Destin, give Mark a call, 832-6000. Speaking of numbers, we're looking at only one time today, 12:10 to 2:10. Right there in the middle of the day. Dan, you can just run out the back door up there at y'all's office at Deer Point Lake from 12:10 to 2:10. Just tell the boss that you going to take a long lunch break and catch a big old bass.
There you go. There you go. That'd be probably better than being at a desk working, I can assure you.
Let me do some research.
There you go.
Yeah.
Give me about another year and I'm going to be doing more of that.
Okay.
All right. Winston, I'm just going to mention a couple other things real briefly. One is as we get into the boating season, a lot of people are going to be going out, whether it's local bays here, North Bay, East Bay, West Bay, or going over to St. Joe Bay. Think about running your prop in shallow water. One of the ugliest things that you can see is to be in an aircraft or to be up on a platform of a boat and see these nasty prop scars where people are running their motors in shallow water. When you know you're getting in shallow water, best thing to do is trim your motor up, back off on it, and don't run your prop up there. One thing, it can damage your motor and suck sand and silt in your motor and destroy the inner workings of a motor, but also it scars the bay bottom. It's just something that we can do without. So that's one of the complaints we hear from people is they hate to see that, and we just need to be more vigilant about that.
And you can also, if you look real close on Google Earth, you can zoom in and see some of these scars. Yeah.
It's exactly right, and in fact we've got photos of all of our major bays and these Google Earth, this satellite imagery. You can see it from miles. How it's just amazing. Just a couple other things. Vermont is the latest state, Winston, to join the Wildlife Violator Compact. Florida was one of the members early on. Wildlife Violator Compact is basically a decision by the member states that participate in this, that if you violate game laws in one state, you're going to go into your name and your information is going to go into a computer database, and if you do this more than once, generally speaking, they'll give you they'll give you one mistake, such as a license violation. But if you are a repeat offender, then you can very well find yourself banned from hunting and fishing privileges in all member states. And now there's almost 40 members, 40 states that belong to this. I wished every state did, but it's to target those people who are habitual violators.
Very good.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And Winston, I don't know how much time we've got.
About 2 minutes.
All right. Just 2 more states. Mississippi, and I was also looking, Kansas are the latest states to allow crossbows. You know, it was a big deal. When we started allowing crossbow hunting here in Florida, people thought it was going to be the end of the deer herd, and you know, all kind of bad things were going to happen. But you know, there's a whole segment of the outdoor world that likes to hunt with a crossbow, and you know, so anyway.
Great story here. Got to end on this story.
Well, we'll end on this. I saw this, and I had to bring this in. Washington, state of Washington Department of Natural Resource officials were notified, got a call from a guy, and the guy over 40 years ago had killed several deer illegally. It had been on his mind all these years, and he wanted to turn himself in. That was over 40 years now. They actually told him that, you know, the statute of limitations had long since run out, and the guy would not accept that. He wrote him a check for $6,000, mailed him a check, and told him to use it for fish and wildlife. So anyway, that's an amazing story. Had to share that.
Story too.
Yeah, had to share that.
Stan, as always, we appreciate you coming on and all kind of good information. If you need to get a hold of Stan anything, I guess they could just call the office.
They can call our office, or they can email us at myfwc.com. You can write a question. There's a place there, and we'll promptly respond to your question.
Okay, don't forget now this Blue Water tent sale. This is a big deal coming up this weekend. It's coming up. Rick Murphy's going to be there for Florida Fishing Report. He'll be there. It's going to be Friday and Saturday, the 5th annual tent sale down at Blue Water. Don't forget that. I know you've got some stuff at Blue Water before.
Hey, listen, my gloves, my saltwater gloves I wear, my shirts, man, they got good stuff.
All right, got to wrap it up, folks. Thank y'all for watching. Thanks, Stan.
Thank you, Winston.
Do something good for somebody today. God bless.
Thanks for joining us for Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester. Panhandle Outdoors features hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.